I got
The
you.
video cuts off.
It just starts playing like an 80s retro porn music. Oh, we should recreate that video.
What?
It was construction workers. The guy's just standing in the room like over here. The doorway's right here.
No, fuck off. We're not recreating the Oh Yeah Kool-Aid guy construction video.
And the guy's like, I better not catch any of y'all drinking on the job again. And he like cracks open the thing. The manager guy comes in. He's like, oh no! Guy breaks through the drywall like holding a bottle of Fireball. And he's like, oh yeah!
Alright, so, Andrew, intro.
Right now?
Yep.
Cool. So, another episode of Trying to Explain, and right now we are going to explain to my friend here, Robert.
What Magic the Gathering is.
Yeah, I'm going to try to, at least in the time frame that I'm given. So what do you think that Magic the Gathering is? Because from my experience, or what I've been told, you don't pretty much know anything about Magic the Gathering.
Just
or
very
a little
basic.
Bit. Yeah.
I know it's a card game, and I know it's like a turn-based thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what you start out with. Maybe you start out like 5 cards. I know you got to build up mana or something along those lines. I guess you only get so much mana per turn, where you can put down like 1 card. If you have like 40 mana, maybe summon something.
Yeah, similar.
It's a monster-based game, right?
Yeah.
Where you get different creatures, more or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, each, when you talk about the cards, normally starting hand, like when you start, the deck size is at least 40. You can have as many cards in a deck as you want. As many as you want. You can have a 250 card deck, but you have to have at least 40, and that's mainly what is used. And there are different formats in Magic. Different formats ban or allow different cards.
Like some games will like have like lightning or water attacks.
Yeah, well, like just certain cards are just really, really, really good, and so they just banned that card in certain formats. Certain formats also only allow
like certain play types.
No, like certain play types, but like certain expansions where it's kind of like, you know, a block. Like every block, different cards will come out. Like one block maybe called like Theros, which recently came out like forever ago. One would be M15, one would be Innistrad, and every so often they come out like every given several months between each block, and then certain cards again, as I said, are banned because they're just too good. But with the turn order and whatnot, how you start is you start by drawing 7 cards. You can look at the hand, and you know you can have. There's no actual like things that you need in the hand, other than of course mana and whatnot. If you don't like your hand, you can throw it into your deck, reshuffle, and draw a hand, but 1 less, and that is called a mulligan. And then you can look at that and decide if you want it or not. If you keep it, you can look at the top card of your deck just to look at it because you mulligan.
Okay.
If you want to go down to 5, you can. You can go all the way down to 1 if you really want to, but you probably
Can you do that all in 1 turn?
Well, no, like this is before the game actually starts.
Okay.
Before the game starts, you draw your hand, and then you can decide if you don't want it, you can go down 1 less. But if you are to go first, you do not draw a card at the start of your turn. The different card types are going to be land types, which is your mana base, and that is used to summon creatures or cast sort of spells. And there are 2 different types of spells, being sorceries, which you can only cast on your turn during main phase 1 or 2. And then there are instants, which you can
How many
cast
phases are there?
at any time. Yeah. Phases would be, you know, the untap, and what tap is when you use mana to cast something, you tap your mana by turning it sideways, and that lets it know that you cannot use that until your next turn. You cannot use that mana that you tap. Then upkeep, if anything happens on your upkeep, like let's say creatures' abilities or whatnot, that would happen. Then you draw. And then your main phase happens when you can play one land card per turn, and you can summon as many things as you want per turn, even if you have enough mana, cast spells. Then comes the combat phase, which you can declare stuff to attack, and you pretty much always attack a person directly, and then they can declare any untapped monsters to block. And when you attack, they tap, which means they cannot block next turn, unless you somehow untap
And each
them.
creature has their own attack and defense.
Attack and defense, yeah. If a creature's defense ever gets to 0 or toughness, it's gone. It's just destroyed. Go to the graveyard because basically it's health. There are cards that like go on creatures on enchantments that have different effects, like beneficial enchantments being, gives this creature +1/+1, which means it gets +1 power and +1 toughness. There are also minus power and toughness, which you can play on other people's creatures.
So it's like a spell you put on other people.
Yeah, you just put it on there, and it's on there until it dies or it goes away. Then, after you declare combat, and if you attack with anything, you tap it, and then if they want to block, they can. Anything that isn't blocked is dealt to them directly. They have a max health of 20, and if they get to 0, then obviously they lose. After the combat phase goes to main phase 2, which again you can play one land card, only if you didn't play one first before the hand. Then you can still cast stuff as well as creatures. You can play creatures after you've done combat, given that you have the land. Or you can just end the turn, and then they take all those phases. There's also the different effects, which I won't go into now. There's also an exile as well, which is separate from the graveyard, but it just never comes back unless it otherwise.
You could resummon from the graveyard.
Yeah, there are some cards that allow you to summon stuff from the graveyard, but that is for a later time.
Will that conclude this episode?
I think it will.
Thank you.
No problem.